Happy Tuesday, everyone. I am continuing in Hosea this morning. I'm in chapter 3. It's weird. Sometimes it's blurry and sometimes it's not. I think it's the maybe because I don't have my light on, but or maybe my eyes are just blurry. It could be just me. Hosea. Good morning, good morning. I think I'm sitting at a weird angle. That's what it is. Oh my god. Something felt different. Last night I did do a live. I did a night live. I did read the Psalms. And that was a nice time. I enjoyed it. And I'm so thankful you guys that came and joined. I did not post that one. I completely forgot to post that one on my YouTube. But I do have the Psalms. I think they're already on TikTok and also on my YouTube already. So if you did want to take a look at that, you can rewatch those ones. But Hosea, I'm still continuing in Hosea on chapter 3. And I'm probably only going to I might do more chapters. Like I was saying yesterday, they're kind of short. And I wanted to do 2 chapters a day because you know what? I do have to do more. I counted wrong. Let's see. For 4 days, 10 chapters, I have to do like 3 or 4. 3 or 4 a day. Oh, that works out. Because I was like sitting here thinking like, but I was thinking a week and not 5 days because I only come on these lives Monday through Friday. Sorry, something poked me. But my kids are doing school. So I thought I'd come on again. And I'll go ahead and read. I'm in Hosea chapter 3. Then the Lord said to me, "Go again, love a woman who is loved by a lover and is committing adultery, just like the love of the Lord for the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love the raisin cakes of the pagans." So I bought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and 1.5 homers of barley. And I said to her, "You shall stay with me many days. You shall not play the harlot, nor shall you have a man. So too will I be towards you. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or sacred pillar, without ephod or teraphim. Afterward the children of Israel shall return and seek the Lord their God and David their king. They shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days." And so I'll read the commentary. I've been reading the commentary, just the commentary for my Bible. I use a study Bible from Nelson. And it's a women's study Bible, so if it does say something about she or her or like in those kind of forms, it's just because it's meant for a women's study Bible. And that's why it says that. It's not like excluding other people. It's just that's who buys this Bible. So verse 1, it said, God commanded Hosea to demonstrate in his marriage to Gomer the same kind of steadfast, redeeming love that he had for his idolatrous people of Israel. The raisin cakes of the pagans were sweetmeats made of pressed grapes, an integral part of worship in many Canaanite cultic festivals. For verse 2, it says, the measure of a shekel here refers to a weight of silver, about 0.4 ounces, not coins. A homer was a measure of cereal, roughly equal to about 5 bushels. For verse 3, it says the reciprocity and commitment is essential. Hosea directed Gomer to return home and resume her responsibilities as wife and mother, and he committed himself to remain faithful to her as his wife and only love. Forgiveness and restoration is possible only for one who is absolutely committed to going God's way. For verse 4, it says, the waiting period imposed on Gomer after Hosea brought her back its analogous to Israel's coming exiled. The ephod was part of the garment worn by the high priest when he inquired of the Lord, whereas teraphim were household idols used as a means of divination. For verse 5, it says, the northern kingdom, under their own king and with their own centers for worship, was in rebellion against the Davidic covenant. Christian and Jewish scholars interpret this as a reference to the Messiah, since David had long been dead at the time of this prophecy. The latter days refer to the Messianic era. Welcome in, guys. I'm reading Hosea. I'll go ahead and continue to chapter 4. It says, Hosea chapter 4. Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel. For the Lord brings a charge against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying, killing and stealing, and committing adultery, they break all restraint, with bloodshed upon bloodshed. Therefore the land will mourn, and everyone who dwells there will waste away with the beast of the field and the birds of the air. Even the fish of the sea will be taken away. Now let no man contend or rebuke another, for your people are like those who contend with the priests. Therefore you shall stumble in the day, the prophet also shall stumble with you in the night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I also reject you from being priests for me. Because you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children. The more they increase, the more they sin against me. I will change their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people. They set their heart on their iniquity. And it shall be, like people, like priests. So I will punish them for their ways and reward them for their deeds. For they shall eat, but not have enough. They shall commit harlotry, but not increase. Because they have ceased obeying the Lord. Harlotry, wine, and new wine enslave the heart. Many people ask counsel from their wooden idols, and their staff informs them, for the spirit of harlotry has caused them to stray. They have played the harlot against their God. They offer sacrifices on the mountaintops, and burn incense on the hills, under oaks, poplars, and terebinths, because their shade is good. Therefore your daughters commit harlotry, and your brides commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they commit harlotry, nor your brides when they commit adultery. For the men themselves go apart with harlots, and offer sacrifice with the ritual harlot. Therefore people who do not understand will be trampled. Though you Israel play the harlot, let not Judah offend. Do not come up to Gilgal, nor go up to Beth-aven, nor swear an oath, saying, as the Lord lives. For Israel is stubborn, like a stubborn calf. Now the Lord will let them forage, like a lamb in open country. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. Their drink is rebellion. They commit harlotry continually. Her rulers dearly love dishonor. The wind has wrapped her in its wings, and they shall be ashamed because of their sacrifices. And I'll go ahead and read some of the commentary. Hosea announced that the Lord would take his people to court to focus the attention of all Israel on the magnitude of its crime. God charged Israel with a breach in the covenant. Truth is nowhere to be found because the people of Israel has not sustained or supported their covenant with God. Mercy, in Hebrew is just said, is the term for God's covenant love that Israel experienced when God redeemed his people from Egypt. They would know that love again when God would call the contrite nation back to himself. The knowledge of God that expressed covenantal intimacy has been completely abandoned. For verse 5, it says, the designation your mother identifies the nation Israel, who gives birth to the people. The northern kingdom had been destroyed and had disappeared completely as an entity. Since the priests had ignored or forgotten God's law, God would forget their descendants. And for verse 13 and 14 says, Israel's practice of pagan ritual was described. The people were slaying and offering sacrifices as well as burning incense. These practices were performed on elevated sites instead of in Jerusalem, where God had commanded sacrifices were to be offered. Hosea mockingly referred to the only true benefit of choosing these sites for their abomination. Good shade. As if the abominations were not enough, the leaders of Israel allowed their daughters and daughter-in-laws, in Hebrew, kala, literally bride, to participate in cultic prostitution. God in his justice would not punish these young women, while the men were pursuing cultic prostitutes without penalty. With immorality on such a grand scale among both leaders of Israel and the general population, it is no surprise that Hosea predicted the ruin of Israel. They were without understanding and were consequently headed for certain disaster. I like that he didn't really charge the women for their wrongdoing, because the men were doing the same thing, which is not similar to the culture that we kind of live in. It seems like that is like the opposite. Like the men got away with it, and I think maybe in their culture as well, the men were, and I think the Lord was really protective of the women, because in the Bible, when it came to divorce, or even if someone got pregnant outside of marriage, like the law was protecting them, and the law was doing like the Lord would, he knew that the hearts of men, and he provided for the women. And in this, though they all deserved that punishment, a lot of times you would think like the women would get kind of overlooked, and the men would be the women are kind of like, oh, they're not supposed to do that, but the guys normally do that kind of thing. But in this case, like the Lord saw that it was happening on both sides, and he didn't just punish the women. For verse 15, it says, Hosea presented Israel as an example to the people of Judah and warned them not to make pilgrimages to the north, a practice common at the time. Gilgal and Beth-aven, or Bethel, were cities considered to be heavily infected with idolatry. Beth-aven, in Hebrew is literally house of nothingness, is actually Hosea's contemptuous renaming of Bethel. In Hebrew, it's literally house of God. I'm not sure what's going on with my life. I think there's, I don't know if it's the connection, but I can kind of see like there's some weird stuff going on. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. It's just, maybe because I'm on later, but it seems like something's happening to my life right now. But I'm reading Hosea. Thank you guys for joining. I'm not sure what, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. Thank you for the likes. I was just like looking at him like something looks odd. Oh, you have, is that rheumatoid arthritis? Is that what it is? I'm sorry to hear that. What's your name? That's such an intense one. And nowadays it seems so much more common. feel like a lot of people are developing a lot of bone deficiencies. It could be like the sugar and stuff, and definitely the junk that's in our food. But what's the other one? There's one that has to do with fibromyalgia. It's probably the coffee. Like, as I'm drinking coffee. Mine is technically mushroom coffee, guys. I am cheating. I found there was a couple of companies that had mushroom coffee, but it has been so much more helpful. I don't feel as jittery drinking it. I should put it like on that TikTok shop stuff. I haven't learned how to use it yet, but I do like it. I was recommended by someone who saw it on TikTok shop, and I use the instant one because I actually broke my my coffee maker. It broke. Good morning, good morning. I know I'm on a little bit later today. I normally go on these lives at 9, but I had company. My dad came over this morning. He was coming from a Bible study, and he was like, "Oh, you mind if I stop by?" I hadn't seen him for a while. I saw him on Sunday, but he was serving. We go to the same church. So it was nice. It was a nice little visit. But the kids are doing school. I have started to put pumpkin in my coffee again. I think normally around this time I start putting pumpkin in it. Pumpkin puree. It's I don't put like sugar or anything. I just put like a couple of spoonfuls of pumpkin puree and almond milk and this mushroom coffee. So it should have some benefits. I think pumpkin is supposed to be really good for you. If you don't do, because you can put the pumpkin pie in here. I'm sure that would taste amazing, but it won't be as beneficial. I do add, what did I add? Pumpkin pie spice or something like that. That's good. But I'll go ahead and continue reading. This might be a shorter live, just because I'm going through Hosea, and Hosea is a shorter book. So I might do a much shorter live, depending on how the rest of the live goes. I think I'm going to read 2 more chapters. I know I've been reading like a lot of chapters. Like when I did Jeremiah, I felt like I did about 2 or 3 chapters, but these are smaller chapters. So we're kind of just flowing right through it. And chapter 5 and 6 are pretty short, which is nice if you're reading the Bible and you feel like it's overwhelming. The idea of taking it, chapter by chapter, it can make it much more simple. If you see these books right here, these are actually my notebooks, and most of them are single books. So like this is, I think this big one right here is Isaiah. And Jeremiah. I think next time I will probably go through them. I've been wanting to go through the, because they're like individual, like they actually have like the book in there, and you can just write in the notes, you can highlight it, and you have it more like a notebook, and it's very helpful. But I'll go ahead and continue in Hosea. In chapter 5, it says, "Hear this, O priest, take heed, O house of Israel, give ear, O house of the king, for yours is the judgment, because you have been a snare to Mizpah, and a net spread on Tabor. The revolters are deeply involved in slaughter. Though I rebuke them all, I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, Ephraim, you commit harlotry. Israel is defiled. They do not direct their deeds towards turning to their God. For the spirit of harlotry is in their midst, and they do not know the Lord. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. Therefore Israel and Ephraim stumble in their iniquity. Judah also stumbles with them. With their flocks and herds they shall go seek the Lord, but they will not find him. He has withdrawn himself from them. They have dealt treacherously with the Lord, for they have begotten pagan children. Now a new moon shall devour them, and their heritage. Blow the ram's horns in Gibeah, the trumpet in Ramah. Cry aloud at Beth-aven. Look behind you, O Benjamin. Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel I make known what is sure. The princes of Judah are like those who remove a landmark. I will pour out my wrath on them like water. Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment, because he willingly walked by human precepts. Therefore I will be to Ephraim like a moth, and to the house of Judah like rottenness. When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Judah saw his wound, then Ephraim went to Assyria, and sent to King Jareb. Yet he cannot cure you, nor heal you of your womb. For I will be like a lion to Ephraim, and like a young lion to the house of Judah. Even I will tear them and go away. I will take them away, and no one shall rescue. I will return again to my place, till they acknowledge their offense. Then they will seek my face. In their affliction they will earnestly seek me. For verse 1, there's a commentary here that says, Israel's impending doom would start with the priest and the king, the two primary entities of covenant leadership. The failure of Israel's leaders negatively affected the people. Hosea refers to Mizpah, a site on Samuel's circuit of judging, and Tabor, a famous mountain in north-central Palestine, south of the Lebanese border, as two places where evil were perpetuated. For verse 6 it says, The Lord withdrew from his people. The judgment here was complete. In vain Israel would seek the Lord. He would withdraw from them. The futility of their idolatrous devotion with all its sacrifices was profound. The people sought God's favor through sacrifices, here symbolized in the two words flock. A small cattle like sheep and goats and herds, a large cattle such as cows and oxen. However, true faith involved the heart's devotion and not just outward ritual. I like that. I underlined that. True faith involved the heart's devotion and not just outward ritual. I think sometimes we can get so caught up in the outward and just different things that we want to do, thinking that we're pleasing God, thinking that we're doing all the right things, but it just becomes rituals. On Saturday, I went to a revival night, and they were talking about, the speaker was talking about how he just didn't like religion. He didn't like the rituals. It's about a relationship. It's about a relationship with Christ, and not doing things just mundane, or like doing it out of this idea that we have to, or obligation. It should be something that's out of reverence and we get to, and having that mindset changes whatever you do for the Lord, because then you have this sense of gratitude, and it's not like he's making you do something. It's he is giving you the abilities to do those tasks. You know, he gives us spiritual gifts. He gives us so many amazing blessings. There's this song, I forgot the name of it, I was talking about yesterday, and I heard it today. I heard it yesterday again in the evening, and it says like 1, 2, 3. I can't remember, but it was just talking about all the different blessings you can get. It's by a guy named Seth. and I don't know his last name. I just know that his name was Seth because I thought it says Steph, and then I was like, this is not a girl singing, and that's how I remembered his name, Seth, and it was just counting all the blessings. Though we're not always getting the blessings that we want, or even getting the answers to our prayers the way we want them, he is still giving us blessings. We get blessings every day. We get such a sense of protection, and he is so faithful to us, and so it's just like to think that the God of the universe knows my name. He knows what I'm going through. He sees when people afflict me. He sees when I'm sad. It's eye-opening. It's very eye-opening. For verses 8, it says, "The sounding of the ram's horn and trumpet were standard warning systems that alerted the people working in the fields to take protection behind the city walls and get ready for battle. Hosea furnished his audience with a glimpse of the doom about to overtake them in the form of an attack from Assyria." Verse 13, in the day of judgment, Ephraim's immediate response was to seek aid not from God, but from the king of Assyria. King Jareb, literally great king, is a reference to the king of Assyria, possibly Tiglath-Pileser III. And I'll go ahead and continue on the next chapter, and this will probably be the last chapter. It's going to be a super short live today, but it's okay because we have, let's see, that's 4 chapters. I don't want to get too fast because I would like to keep reading this for the rest of this week, so it'll just be a short live. But for chapter 6 of Hosea, it says, "Come and let us return to the Lord, for he is torn, but he will heal us. He is stricken, but he will bind us up. After 2 days he will revive us. On the 3rd day he will raise us up, that we may live in his sight. Let us pursue the knowledge of God, of the Lord. His going forth is established as the morning. He will come to us like the rain, like the latter and former rain, into the earth. O Ephraim, what shall I do to you? O Judah, what shall I do to you? For your faithfulness is like a morning cloud, and like the early dew, it goes away. Therefore I have hewn them by my prophets, I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and your judgments are like light that goes forth. For I desire mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. But like men, they transgressed the covenant. There they dealt treacherously with me. Gilead is a city of evildoers, and defiled with blood. As bands of robbers lie in wait for a man, so the company of priests murder on the way to Shechem. Surely they commit lewdness. I have seen a horrible thing in the house of Israel. There is a harlotry of Ephraim. Israel is defiled. Also, O Judah, a harvest is appointed for you, when I return the captives of my people." Thank you for sharing, warrior. There's only a couple of commentary for this one. It says, for verse 2, Israel hoped for mercy. Although the call to repentance that begins in verse 1 on Israel's part appeared to be an acknowledgement of God's just judgment on them, is not enough. The crucial requirement of admitting guilt is lacking. This contrasts sharply with Hosea's closing song of penitence. The verbs revive and raise up anticipate God's restoration of his people. And for verse 6 it says, God has always wanted religious activity to reflect what is in the heart. The importance of the sacrificial system, which God himself has given, is not denied, but God's plan for sacrifice, which was to be an outward manifestation of inner faith, is defined. The outward rituals are meaningless to him unless mercy and knowledge of God formed inward reality. And so I'll go ahead and stop there. This live will be on my YouTube again. These lives might be a little bit shorter because Hosea is a shorter book. And I do want to spread this out because I feel like it's beneficial to read passages in its context, but also take time to go through each one and just recognize what the Lord has for us. So I read Hosea chapter 3 through 6. So tomorrow I should be starting in Hosea chapter 7. So I hope you guys have a blessed day. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or if I do a night live, then I'll see you guys tonight.